We are talking Star Wars Andor, Season 1, Episode 10, No Way Out. This episode is premium Andy Serkis, and we are going to talk about that a lot right now. If you don't know how it works, it's really simple. If we like something, we give it an upvote. If we dislike something, we give it a downvote. And at the end of the review, we will average those numbers and come up with an official Popcast review score. Shane, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Having a great day. I'm glad that we're all caught up on Andor. Apologize to everybody we've missed the last couple weeks, but we got it together now. I just want to say this right here. I have very rarely watched a show that I really couldn't stand, to go from really couldn't stand it very much in the very beginning to now cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. And I have to attribute Tony Gilroy, the creator of this, for knowing he's going to have about 5 seasons with which to do this show, and said, I don't care. I'm just going to make it, and they will eventually show up. So,
yeah, an extremely slow burn for me. I also think that our friend Kadish was right when he said that the way it was cut up was... They cut it up in a way that made it so it's really, you really should be watching like 3 episodes at a time.
Well, the first 6 I think were cut that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, but it's not been that way since then. We just finished episode 10, and I didn't feel like episode 9 was this huge event.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think the first 6, you're right, because it was 1, 2 kind of snoozy, 3 action. Okay, cool. 4, 5 build up to the event, to the big thieving event they did, and then 6 was like wham bam, thank you ma'am. And since 6 it's been pretty good, but when they locked up Cassian and sent him to prison, dude, who doesn't love a good prison movie? Because this has just turned into like a badass. I mean, we get to see how the Empire locks people up in prison, which is totally cool. And very creative, the whole floor stuff, right? And now we get not only this, but a prison break. So it's just been a fantastic last few episodes, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, this show is like, what if Star Wars was a spy thriller? And then it's like, what if Star Wars was an Ocean's 11 movie? And then it's like, what if Star Wars was Prison Break?
Or Shawshank Redemption.
Or Shawshank.
Yeah.
Okay, so right. What's next? Like what's the next trope we can go to?
What if Star Wars was Star Wars? So what I'm saying is like in the next segment, let's have some Star Wars things. Like let's run into like a Force user. Okay, like I'm cool with, like, I love this like dirty, gritty, the Empire. This is how they do business. Now let's start to introduce a little bit of Star Wars stuff,
right?
Like something recognizable. Doesn't have to be a lot, Give us a little bit, but it's a character-driven show, and we finally caught up to the characters.
Can they even introduce any actual Jedis? Because
no,
they really can't.
I mean, they can. I'm not saying you need to have Jedis with lightsabers and stuff like that. I don't think that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could probably tease a little bit of the stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be bad, and I know people don't necessarily want this. At some point, it wouldn't be bad to see what Darth Vader's up to. He was very integral in this time frame.
Yeah.
So that might be interesting. I know people were a little down on him from Obi-Wan, but if they do it right, I think it could be good. What do you think?
Well, I mean, sure. I do have a problem with the Star Wars universe right now. Like, if you're not a super fan and you're just trying to like get caught up on what's going on with Star Wars, there's absolutely no way that you can possibly know what's happening. Like, it goes from like Mandalorian to the Boba Fett to the Obi-Wan to now Andor, and like you want to mix movies in there. You're like, what's happening? Like, we understand the timeline because we're Star Wars fans and we've been following it, and we like, even if we don't like it, we still understand where it's taking place and when. As a casual fan, there is no way you know what's happening with Star Wars. They're all over the place.
Kathleen Kennedy needs a Kevin Feige. Actually, let's put it this way. Kathleen Kennedy needs a Kathleen Kennedy. So, and I say that meaning that she's always been like, I know there's a lot of weaknesses about her, but one of her strengths is getting things done. Mm-hmm. But she needs somebody who can hog tie the story together, and we thought that was going to be John and Dave, John Favreau and Dave Filoni. But they kind of like cornered themselves off into this one little section of Star Wars.
Right.
And they just kind of keep like, the thing that you got to hate about Kathleen Kennedy, besides all the reasons you hate her.
Listen, if you keep saying her name, you're going to summon someone. So be careful.
I'm okay with that because
you're going to summon the doom, the most doomed of cocks.
Oh well,
that's how you summon him. You just say Kathleen Kennedy in a mirror 4 times.
All right, that's fair, like Candyman. Okay, so right, Kathleen Kennedy. Oh my God! Say it one more time.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Turn off the lights. Okay. No. So, Kathleen's big problem is that she's really good at like getting things done, getting projects completed. Mm-hmm. Like she's good at that kind of thing. But what she's terrible at is wrangling a story, and she lets her creatives completely take control of the story.
Right.
And the problem is that the creatives aren't talking to each other.
No.
So Tony Gilroy is not talking. I mean, maybe he is. Maybe he's having a conversation, but he's not going, let's see what Dave and John are doing. And I'm going to like line up with what's going on there.
There's no continuity.
Yeah. To do that. So they should just give Dave, actually, they should probably just give John the mantle and be like, you be the Star Wars whisperer, and then just let him figure out what everybody's supposed to do.
Maybe Kevin Feige is a very special person that can do both roles, because we just saw Warner Brothers basically they put Peter Safran and James Gunn as co-heads of DC Studios, and Safran is doing he's doing what the Kathleen Kennedy does, is sort of keeping monetarily what's going on, the administration, the business side of it, and James Gunn's handling the creative. Warner Brothers just did something that was like actually, I guess, logical and made complete sense, but I'm not sure why we had not done this yet. But they put 2 people with 2 different strengths in charge of the same studio. Maybe Kevin Feige is so special that he can do both things, and maybe they need 2 people.
Well, he was doing it before, so I think he was already doing like the business side. And when it came time to do creative, he was just such a fan and understood Marvel so well that he took that on as well and became kind of the master universe. Problem with Kathleen is that she's not really a Star Wars fan. I mean, she's a making movies fan.
Right.
And so if you could, now here's the issue is, can you have her in her place and then give somebody like Dave or John the reins and say, you guys are in charge, and she can't tell you what you can or can't do.
Yeah, creatively,
that's the way it would have to be.
Yeah, they would have to take Dave take Favreau and make him like the co-head of Star Wars.
Make him the James Gunn of Disney Star Wars.
And maybe Star Wars needs its own studio.
Well, they do. They have Lucas Films, so it's kind of its own studio. And she's in charge of it. Kathy is in charge of that.
All right.
So that's what the issue is right now. But anyways, I guess we can talk about the episode now.
Yeah, I guess let's get in the episode now. All right. So we're opening up with Cassian in jail, prison, or whatever their version of that is, right?
Yeah, I am so happy with. I would like to upvote right away. I'm really happy with Diego Luna. I got to tell you, these Latino, whatever you want to call them, Latino actors in Star Wars. Whether it's the guy playing the Mandalorian or whether it's Diego here playing Cassian Andor, they're owning Star Wars right now. They're literally like the 2 best things in Star Wars as far as leading characters go.
That's funny because this guy looks like the younger, weaker cousin of.
He does. Yeah. They look like they're almost kind of in a way related, right? They got the same handsome kind of features. They look like they're cut from the same thing.
I actually don't really like this. I love the act. I think he's very talented, but I don't like his look for this. I haven't liked it from the first episode. Like, it's not for downvote or whatever, but like he just seems like a sort of weak chin sort of you know, he's a decent looking guy, but he seems like, I don't believe that he's like grappling with like the big guards and all that in this episode. It just doesn't work for me because he's so slight. Is that the word? I'm not sure what the word is when you're like.
Well, he's slight, but let me think of Jet Li. You know, when you got some skill fighting, and we don't know what Cassian's skill is.
But Jet Li is slight, but also like super toned and muscular. Like this guy is not muscular at all.
I mean, I would argue you don't. I mean, you got to be fit. I think he's obviously fit. He's not taking his shirt off for it.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Take your shirt off, Diego.
He shouldn't be throwing around he shouldn't be throwing around a lot of guards, giant guards or anything, but they're all cut from this, like, you're right though. They do have this kind of Antonio Banderas descendant thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this whole, like, really handsome, like,
oh my God,
Latin guy.
What if we find out that like Antonio is like secretly like the father?
That'd be so cool. Like,
that'd be so
and these guys are like brothers.
Yeah, right? They're brothers. They're from the same Banderas family.
And it's like, that would be so cool.
You're right though. Yeah. I mean, his acting, regardless of how I think about his appearance, I think his acting really pulls it together. And to be fair, pretty much everyone in this episode did really well. In the first few episodes, remember me cringing every time someone spoke? Like, oh God.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, but there's a little bit of that going on. Did you see Pedro Pascal in the Nicolas Cage movie, like the one where it's like actually Nicolas Cage playing himself?
Oh yeah, I did.
He was so good, dude. I love Pedro Pascal so much. I love these guys. I'm like really on board.
To be fair though, that movie was like the ultimate layup for these actors.
It was, but it was so fun, dude. I love fun movies. But this show has just been so great. And this episode, of course, takes us back. Cassian's now been in jail. I want to say this is the third episode that he's been here. And essentially what they've learned, just to give a little bit of recap here in the beginning, is they all thought that they would get their time done. That they'd be able to get out of there after their time. I think Cassian got 6 years or something like that. And they come to learn that basically nobody's leaving. The people who were leaving were just being sent to other prisons. And they murdered 100 people to keep it quiet.
Oh, wow.
And so everybody's like, and Andy Serkis here, who's playing your favorite Kino. I've seen Andy Serkis in a lot of stuff. He's an incredible actor. He's an incredible voice actor. I think this is the best I've ever seen him.
This might be the best he's ever done. Yeah.
His acting is so superb. He's heart-wrenching. He's like supposed to get out soon. Like his time is supposed to come. And he's been if you're watching the old Shawshank Redemption movie, they would call it institutionalized. Like Andy Serkis or Kino here is basically institutionalized. He's got some clout. He's got a little bit of power, more than the other guys do. And he's comfortable to some degree. And now he's being asked to shake all that up and put everything on the line. And you feel every second of every moment that Cassian is trying to convince him that now is the moment that we have to take advantage because they don't have enough guards.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
an upvote for me.
Yeah, big upvote for me too. I'm going to vote in this because you see like you see all the emotion on his face. He pulls it off every time, and we're going to get to the end. But when the end happened, I genuinely felt so bad for this character. I never feel bad for characters in TV shows. I got to be honest. It requires that you sold it so well to me that then I feel bad for you,
Right.
Or I'm excited for you or something. And Serkis pulls it off big time this episode. Big time. What's the bummer is he ain't going to be in the next episode. That's the bummer for me.
That is really the bummer. Yeah, it's okay, I guess, that they had to have that happen, but I guess we can revisit it here at the end.
Yeah, there was an article that we didn't talk about a week ago that was talking about if there was a connection between Kino and Snoke.
I saw it because he plays Snoke. Of course, Andy Serkis is just an incredible voice actor, and he's Gollum, in Lord of the Rings, and of course he's Snoke in Star Wars. And
Different characters. No connection.
Absolutely nothing. No, don't do that. Stop it.
Yeah.
You're ridiculous. Shut up. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Although, if they somehow were able to tie him to Snoke, right, in the story,
so cool.
Like, it would be the one good thing about the actual character Snoke.
How about this? Ryan Johnson absolutely ruined any ability for Snoke to be cool. Like you're right. That would be like a cool backstory for him.
Right.
But the problem is that Ryan just ruined it.
Right.
Destroyed in a potentially excellent villain.
It's very difficult to use a prequel to sort of fix a future movie. It really is. Like, it rarely happens.
Yeah. Well, except you can't fix it. Like you do it to make it maybe a little better, but you can't ever fix it.
Right. Yeah. I guess you're not fixing it. I guess you're adding to it to the point where it makes it better,
more palatable.
Yeah. So, like, same thing, like we've talked about before, but like Avengers, like the Eternals is not, in my opinion, not a good movie, but because the Eternals added all that backstory via canon to Thanos, I really respect that movie because it makes my favorite a Marvel movie, like, honestly, like 30 to 40% better. Knowing his real, like, Thanos' real motivations is so good. So you can do that. You can take even a bad show or a bad movie can add to something that's already good. I'm not sure if you can fix it per se. I think you're right. I think you can only make it a slightly more palatable.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like adding some shine to dog shit. Like, it's not really. It's still dog shit.
Well, for me, it's like we've talked about it before. Like when you add a room to your house that no one likes, right? But then you add a bathroom, and it's like, well, at least it's livable.
Okay, yeah, you can still, you can do what you got to do.
Right, you can still, it serves a purpose, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Ryan Johnson's movie doesn't serve any purpose
other than to ruin the Star Wars song.
To ruin everything. Yeah. All right. So back to this. So what Andor Cassian wants is he's trying to get Kino to escape, right?
Yeah, to commit to helping him get everybody out. Yeah.
Oh man, and the rooms here, I gotta put this too. Like, I love the way the prison is set up. It's so functional. Like,
it is. It's so creative, dude.
One thing about this series, and I've been saying it since the first episode, even though I didn't like the first few episodes, like the aesthetics of the Empire, this show is making it make so much more sense. It's not just like, oh, this is how it looks because this was cool. But no, it looks this way because it's like this ultra efficient way of doing things. Ultra efficient, sort of like almost sterile environment,
Yeah.
It has that looks to it. Before, the aesthetics were there because that was Lucas's vision, but now Gilroy is actually giving it a purpose, and it makes a lot of sense. And the aesthetics here look amazing. Every cell makes sense. This whole thing is just like so logical and so well put together. I almost think maybe our actual prisons should be set up this way.
It would definitely keep people in line. I mean, I think there might be some really upset people about how we treat those prisoners.
I'm talking about the rooms, though. Like the rooms, the way they're stacked and all that it makes sense, space wise, efficiency wise.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's clean. Yeah.
No bars on the walls because literally they can't leave. So.
Right. I mean, right here again, Circus just absolutely killing it, bro. So good.
He just reached over and said, "I'm gonna take that. That's mine now."
Yeah.
Star Wars Andor. I own this episode.
Do you think Andy Serkis was so disappointed with Return of the Jedi that when he got the opportunity to play another role in Star Wars, what if he really liked Star Wars and he hates the fact that his character was ruined in those movies? And he's
like, the Last Jedi?
Yeah. Whatever, those movies. And now he's like, I'm just going to bring the heat. I'm just going to put everything into this so I can like make sure that this final performance cements my legacy in Star Wars.
Yeah, I can see Andy like reading the script and going, "Okay, Snoke does this," and whoa, what did Snoke gets killed here? What? Oh, okay, I mean, you're an actor. There's not a lot you can do about it. But
Guys, why am I here again? Why was the character even in the movie? Oh, you don't know either. Does anyone know? No? Okay. How?
Well, JJ knows, but he's not telling
Right.
because he's the one who introduced him.
Right.
Yeah,
But he didn't tell Ryan Johnson what the purpose of the character was.
Right, and it's and as we've said before, I blame Kathleen Kennedy for telling Ryan Johnson, "No, don't worry about what JJ's doing. This is your movie. You do it the way you want to do it. Go ahead, come on. That's what creativity is all about. You know what I mean?"
Yeah. It's
Such
a weird thing.
Kathy's fault.
Such a weird thing. Yeah, we're just gonna
All she had
cement.
to say was, "You talk to JJ first," and then. But the problem was that Ryan was writing 8 before JJ had finished 7.
Right, and
That's the mistake.
here's the misuse of that, and I hate to use that term like it was misused, but like you are cementing canon from one of the most profitable, most popular worldwide phenomenon, intellectual properties franchises of all time. In the history of movie franchises, Star Wars has got to be, if not the top, very close to the top. And you are going to be cementing the story for this unbelievably popular worldwide franchise.
Yeah.
You should be more careful.
Well, and it's not even Kathy's. I mean, like there's so many people's faults here. I mean, when you look at, the studio head, he was requiring the movies to come out at a certain time frame. So his decision to have the movies come out every 2 years, no matter what, because they needed to make their money back that they gave to Lucas, forced Kathy to then put them on this schedule so that the creatives couldn't really coordinate. Right. I mean, it's just, and then JJ being JJ didn't want to do all 3 movies. And, if he would have just done all 3 movies, it would have been fine.
Right.
But
yeah.
Anyways, a lot of reasons why it all went bad. I don't think anybody had bad intentions per se. It just was, it never had a chance the way they were managing it.
Yeah, because it was mismanaged. But regardless, Serkis is bringing the heat to this character.
Agreed.
And he is. After this performance, he's going to probably be one of my top 10 Star Wars characters of all time.
Oh, easily.
Like now, I want to see another show all about his character on how he got there.
Kino. Yeah, I need more Kino. I need to know what his backstory is. I want to know what happens to him after this. Like, what happened? What I need to know. Like, I'm sitting there going,
right,
what's going to happen to Kino? Like, I kind of hope we find out, but kind of hope we don't. Just so that way.
I kind of hope we don't too. I kind of hope we don't, unless they're going to commit to like an actual like real story behind it, and not just like a throwaway line. Like, well, he got taken back and murdered by the. What? Come on.
Wouldn't it be crazy if there's a scene next episode where 2 guards grab him by and start grab him by his arms and like drag him back away from the opening? Wouldn't that be like just rip your heart out?
It would be rough. It'd be rough, man. That was heart-wrenching. Jesus. Dude. I hope that he finds like a transport or something. Like, dude, I feel so sorry for this guy. Yeah, so he's basically in charge. They're trying to get out. Now, the B story here, that's what I'm calling it because I'm not sure what it was. Actually, we see the introduction between these 2 characters, right?
Right. So I don't remember this guy at all. So he was the guy on the left back there. I don't remember him before this episode.
Oh, neither do I. Yeah, when I say 2 characters, I'm talking about, and I forgot the names, but you gotta help me. Goober Prime.
Goober Prime.
The main goober from the goobers that were chasing Cassian in the first couple episodes.
Well, yeah, so we do have a lot of, I guess you're right. We got a lot of people going on here. Every episode they keep giving us like new people. But she's obviously one of the main characters, and she's lined up with what the Empire wants to do. But that guy is new to us. And I would say that that for me, this is a downvote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it's a downvote because, and maybe it's on me. Maybe for the last several episodes, he's been there and I haven't noticed him. But he hasn't had any speaking parts that I can recall. What happens to this character as we go forward? He should have been involved the whole time. Like, to be more cloak and dagger about it, Tony Gilroy should have used a character who's been involved in this process for the last several episodes, not just introduce him now to then give us this reveal later in the episode. I feel like that's cheap.
Yeah, well, it probably should have been this character, right?
Well, I wouldn't have been her because she's like the main catalyst, but you could have made it, the African American guy or the black guy from earlier who got shafted.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would make more sense.
He could have been the guy, and then would have made more sense why he was not being as diligent, maybe. So I don't know. Adding a new character at this point seems like a lost opportunity, and it almost makes me feel like Tony came to this realization, oh, we need to have a mole, but they'd already shot a bunch of it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The way they shoot TV shows nowadays, I understand that it's for efficiency purpose and sets and all that. But if you make a mistake or you lose track of the story or you're forced to add to the story, maybe to pump up another episode coming up or whatever, going back and making that a seamless transition is very difficult because it's not being shot in a linear way,
Yeah. Do you know who would have been cool to be the guy? Don't leave this shot here. Is the old guy in the front, the guy who's in charge.
Oh yeah.
He would have been great because there's been some questionable decisions that he's made. It would have been cool if if Luthen was holding his grandchildren against him or something.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's played an integral part of the story. It would have made it very complicated. And then ultimately, the girl would end up maybe overtaking him or figuring out he was a mole. That would make it very interesting. And then she would end up in charge, which would have been whoa, right? So there's a whole, I'm not telling Tony how you should write this, even though sometimes I think we can write better. I do think that you could develop this a little more.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving forward, back in the cell. Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm moving.
He's
fast.
Such a great physical actor. All of his looks.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at the way he's just such a strong actor. You want to explain what's going on here?
He's got great hair too.
He does. He has a hell of a mane. That's for sure.
So they're getting ready to go to their work shift, and now's the moment because they have a very small window of time to do this. It's when they introduce a new worker into their little building, into their section, and of course the older guy died the episode before, so now they're going to replace him. So if they don't do it now, Cassian's saying they probably will never have a better chance to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the way that old guy died too, that was sort of a bummer too. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, he stroked out.
They just put him out of his misery.
This is, of course, Cassian's adopted mother. She's not taking her medicine or whatever. She wants to keep eating. There's just kind of this weird, you got Bix here. This guy's watching. This didn't really come to much of a fruition. This must play into something in a later episode. It didn't really pay us anything here. We do know that Cassian's adopted mom is helping the rebellion.
Right. Which is probably why she wouldn't leave in the first place, right?
That is why she wouldn't leave, yeah.
Okay, this moment was interesting. Can you explain this?
Davo is what's the best way to compare him to somebody? He's kind of like a really wealthy gangster, but not really a gangster. He's who's that guy who's a billionaire that invests into things and screws up politics and stuff? I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
There's so many.
No, the one guy that you talk about that he brings down countries and stuff.
Oh, George Soros.
Yes. He's in my mind, he's that guy. And so he has ways to creatively make money look like it's coming from different locations. And that's why he's meeting here with Mon Mothma. But he's not something someone who she should be meeting with. And so it's like, in order to keep her reputation clean, this is not a good thing. Right. And to make matters worse, even though she's considering it, he doesn't want money from her. He wants his son and her daughter to hook up. Kind of like a betrothal thing.
So basically we have Nancy Pelosi meeting with George Soros. And Soros wants his son. I mean, this is actually pretty close to real life here, guys.
except for I don't believe that Nancy Pelosi would be fighting for the poor and the helpless.
I don't think so either.
Because she's fighting for keeping herself in power.
So. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's funny because like so he wants don't get him betrothed or anything. Just introduce him. Right.
Yeah, look, kids will do what they do, and I'm like, dang. But she's absolutely not having it, and she has him like summarily dismissed.
Right. Which is great. Okay. So I am going to upvote this. I did like this. I like the politics.
I did too. Yeah, I'll vote it for me too.
And Mon Mothma is growing on me now. She wasn't before.
Yeah, I don't mind the character at all. I can appreciate her situation.
Scene was long though. I didn't realize that till right now. Back to Luthien.
Skarsgård is so awesome.
Yeah, he's great too. I'm gonna upvote Skarsgård. He's great. I liked him when we first saw him, but like his character is being developed in a way that makes sense. Like, look, you can't start a rebellion without cracking some eggs, man.
Let's save that for when he has a speech.
Okay, sorry.
That is important.
It is very, very important. All right, back in the prison. Yeah, so how does he get the new guy just to go along with the plan?
He didn't. The new guy didn't know. So it was opportunistic. That isn't the new guy.
No, I know.
So when he comes down the elevator, you're saying?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he just happens to be there. The guard's knocked down and there's a gun. And so the new guy grabs the gun.
Oh, so, I see.
I mean, you're in jail. There's a prison break happening. What you going to do?
Yeah, you're going to leave.
But I love this. I love the idea here. We didn't know what he was doing. Like last episode, he started doing this, I think. And we're like, what's he doing over there on his breaks? Well, it turns out he's trying to break a water pipe to short out the floor when they try to use it. That's the whole point.
It's rad.
So they can't shock them all. And it worked out.
I feel like shocking everyone with their bare feet is probably not a great deterrent anyways, because like you can't just like get up on something and wouldn't water make it worse?
Yeah, but you can only go. Well, you're saying no. Well, they knew that. I think he knew that the water would short out the floor.
Right.
So that's why the water. But yeah, they could just get it on a table. But
what if it didn't short out the floor? It just made it way worse, and everyone died. Because like water is conductive.
Very short TV show.
Right. They look around, everyone's dead. And he's like, okay.
Can you take me back to my cell? Thanks.
Sorry, guys.
My bad.
Let's try this again.
But it was very intense.
It was.
I want to upload this whole scene. I just love all of this, and these guys get into their little fight, and you can see Kino is still like stressed the hell out. I love actors who stay in this moment the whole time. You'll see a lot of movies where the actor's suddenly calm or confident or something happens. Kino never stops looking like he's going to have a freaking heart attack through this entire thing.
Right. You're so right.
Like, and I love the way they do that. And you can tell they didn't like think it out all the way because like they got to climb to save themselves. And that does not sound like the odds are in your favor. When you have someone in an elevated position over you with weapon fire, that's really bad. Go back and watch The Rock.
No, go back and watch one of the prequels. I have the high ground.
Oh, well, yeah, you could. That's true. But in this case, they really do have the high ground, and they have these guys are like throwing like screwdrivers at them and stuff like that. The other guy's got a blaster, so their odds are not great here.
So good.
But look at that attack.
So good.
A lot of people didn't make it, man.
Yeah, which is great. No, I mean that's good. Yeah. Because it shows real stakes.
Yeah, and that was necessary. Finally, Cassian is able to take out both of the gunmen, and they find a way to get into the control room. Eventually, there you go. These guys, this is like the main control hub, and I love how Cassian just like kills the guy on the right.
Right.
when they won't, where it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing what you tell us to do. Okay, got it. Yes.
Right, it's great. I also
and he gets him to shut down the water.
I also like that he had to convince Kino to make that speech.
Convince him, build him up, like almost shame him a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, upvote for me, 100%. This back and forth with the characters. You're beginning to see a little bit of the Cassian that we're going to see when we eventually get to Rogue One, which is nice. And then the speech that is delivered here, another upvote for me. The speech that he delivers, he builds it up. He's getting it going. It takes him a while. And then Cassian's like, is that all you can do? And then he just lets go. And he starts speaking from his heart.
Yeah.
There's 5,000 guys locked up here. And he's like, get to the top, do what you got to do, help each other. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was like Independence Day level, man. It was like, we will not go quietly into the night.
Right.
It was great. Right. I was like, yeah, Kino, I got to get some work done. Let's go. I'd rather die trying to take that. It's so good. Very good.
He repeated Cassian's line. So Cassian gave him that line, which I thought was a fantastic line. I'd rather die trying to stop them than die helping them.
Right.
So great.
Very good. Okay, we're getting to the good stuff.
Oh, so they get to the part where you realize that there's no way off here except to jump into the ocean.
Right.
And it's like, so you get this kind of like, okay, they're going to escape too. Now, I don't like this right here. You see this scene where all these guys are locked up in here? Mm-hmm. That's going to lead into next episode.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because what we know is there's a whole dispatchment of people here now. So, that makes me think Kino's not going to get very far.
I don't think Kino's going to get very far, yeah. So they get to the water, and they're like, what happened? Whatever happens now, we made it. And they're like, they're jumping in. Oh, this was so heartbreaking, bro. God, this is hurt. This is making my heart hurt again. Right? I'm upvoting the crap out of this. I'm going to give it 2 upvotes. Jesus.
Yeah, I'll take another upvote too.
The look on his face right now is like, oh no.
He went through all this, and we find out he can't swim.
All this, bro.
Can't swim.
Oh, my God. I wish I could play it all the way through, but I can't.
And I love the way they deal with it. Wait, did it?
I'm going to find it right now. I got to actually take it off there. So
isn't it forward or back? Or yeah, so, I think it was in that moment. I can't remember, actually. But
I think it was too, but like if I play too much, it'll get claimed. So
I love the way they dealt with that because they put it... There's no way Cassian leaves him like that. I don't believe he would have left him and jumped off the platform knowing that he couldn't come to.
Yeah, here it is. One way out, right? And someone goes.
Yeah.
I play it.
But the way that they deal with it, they don't give Cassian a choice. And I think that was the proper way to do that, And that's kind of like the way this Star Wars show has been. Like, there's a lot of things happening that there's no choices, or there's no, you're almost at the mercy of a river stream taking you downriver. You know what I mean? That's what some of the show feels like, and that's what's happening here.
So Cassian yells back and says, "What's wrong?" And he says, "I can't swim." Oh God! What an amazing scene! This is like top tier television, man.
Yeah, agreed.
It's weird. It's weird that it's wrapped in this like really super slow burn show, but like getting to this point was so good. And then yeah, you're right. Cassian is like, what? What did he say? And then someone, I can't swim, and then someone accidentally knocks Cassian into the drink, the water. Look at this right here. He's about to go back and like try to figure it out with him, and then he gets knocked in. and you had to make it that way in order to further Cassian's journey here. Because if he had the ability, he would at this point he would have stopped to help Kino,
and probably they both would have been caught. Mm-hmm. You know, because as you can see when we get to the end of this episode, a lot of guys got in the water.
Right, not all of them made it.
Not a lot got out.
Right. Oh, so good. All right, back to this. All right, this is the moment. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Explain it.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. You're better.
I was just going to say that this is the scene where we get the new character that we saw earlier in the big room with the Empire, and we're starting to learn. Okay, he's a double agent or something like that, and we hear Luthen on the other end coming up. I think this was really clever. I love how the use of the elevator. I love how he's talking to him the whole way. I love the way Luthen's kind of like intimidating him, and then making him feel good, and then making him scared. He's like using all of the emotions capable against him or for him to continue him being a spy for him. Mm-hmm. My problem is, of course, I think they used the wrong actor. I feel like they shouldn't have introduced a new character. But I love the way it's delivered. Right. And when you get up there, did you see this? Did you see him meeting in person?
Right. Yes, I did.
I mean, did you think that was what was about to happen?
No, I didn't.
Right. Which I thought was cool and clever, because all of a sudden, whoa, now he's got to face all of these words he just heard. And they're obviously meeting somewhere special. But I think the speech given here by Luthen is one of the best speeches, one of the best Star Wars speeches ever.
Yes.
I think you were talking about earlier, so I'm going to let you describe it, but I want to give this 2 upvotes because I think it was that powerful and it really explains what the rebels are dealing with. So you go ahead and explain it.
I'm not going to be able to remotely explain it as good as you guys seeing it, but I'll give you the paraphrased version. Basically, he has to do bad things for good reasons. And this brings me back to a quote I heard a long time ago when I was in the military. Sometimes good men do bad things for good reasons. And on the flip side of that, sometimes bad men do good things for bad reasons. And him being a bad man here is what he has to do. He's not a bad man, but he has to play the bad man role in order to accomplish the greater good. And I love this because so often do showrunners and writers, they don't want to take the risk they don't want to take the risk of making their good guy look like not so much of a good guy. But I got to tell you, the best characters in history are good guys that have a little gray in them because they have to have it. And bad guys that have a little white in them because they have to have it. Like those are the best characters. That's what makes a character real and 3-dimensional.
Right. And don't mistake this character for a lot of other characters who do bad things for the greater good. Like that's not what this is. Like this is a guy who's doing bad things for survival.
Right.
So a lot of times it's like to achieve something or to accomplish something, we got to kill a few people so that millions of people can do well.
Right.
In this situation, it's like the Empire is literally going to end our way of life, and I'm going to have to kill some people or get people killed or put people in really bad situations so that we all don't become consumed by the Empire.
Right.
It's just such a different type of character. This is the type of character that any person can see themselves being if they have like this sense of purpose, especially in today's climate. There's a lot of people in our world today who are like, I can't let these bad things go down that's going down. And so they have to put themselves forward into a position that's maybe not very favorable and to do it. So I think a lot of people can kind of, put themselves in the spot. Now, granted, the Empire is not here on Earth, and we don't have that situation really, unless maybe you're in one of these countries like North Korea or something like that. but I think people can understand how they could become this character very easily.
Oh yeah,
to accomplish something.
Yeah. I consider myself a good man, but I've said it before. I could be a bad guy if I have to be. And when it comes to like the protection of my family and my house, I can be a bad guy. I will be a bad guy if that happens. Just don't even test that theory. Okay, it's not going to end well for either of us. That's the way I look at things. I'm going to be a good guy, but what if I have to be a bad guy? There was a philosopher that once said, like, every man has a monster, and the only difference between a good man and a bad man is their ability to control that monster. That's it. Like, bad men decide to let their monster do whatever it wants, and a good man decides when that monster comes out.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, yeah. So, excellent. Obviously the guy says to him, I've had to sacrifice this and that. What have you had to sacrifice? And that's when we get the speech. And eventually he ends it with everything. And he yells at everything. Who cares who's listening? He's had to give up everything.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Great speech.
Awesome. And then he says, my favorite one here, I put it in the tweet yesterday too, is I think he says here, I need a hero or something like that. I need a hero or more heroes or something like that. And then he like shuts the door on him, basically not giving him a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was great.
It's great. All right. Back with Cassian. I don't know how far they're going to get. I hope that next episode they show like where they plan to get to.
I think so.
Looks like a barren rock to me, dude. But there's nothing out there.
They're going to run into something. Obviously, Cassian keeps going. We know that. But I hope they don't spend a whole lot of time waiting to get to the next spot. You're right. And that's kind of one of Tony's problems he's had previously, is he kind of wastes a lot of time getting to the next place. And we don't need to spend a whole bunch of time here unless there's like suddenly like a rebel outpost on the space or something.
Right. Yeah. So as good as this episode was, there have been episodes, and as much as we're praising Gilroy, there has been episodes that didn't further the story at all. It didn't. Right. It didn't further the story. It barely even scratched the surface of the characters. Right. It just did nothing had no value whatsoever. These are the episodes where, like, if you skip them, nothing changes for you.
Yeah, and I don't like that. Something has to change in every episode for it to matter. So, hopefully, episode 11. Sorry, is that way. We've got 2 more to go. See how 2 more.
Well, that does it for the review. We're looking at a solid 8, and let me tell you, if this is your first time watching a Popcast review, that is high.
That is a high review.
That is a high score for Popcast. We are not very generous with upvotes. It was a great episode. Very happy with it. I can't wait to see what happens in the next 2 episodes. It's going to be good. We're going to be covering it. So, if you're watching this after the fact, we'll be here next week, probably the same time, with the review, ready to go, rocking and rolling. So, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel now so you get updates when that happens.
And also, just remember one thing. Stay hopeful. Thanks.
Is that a line from the show?
No, I'm just going to start using it from now on.
Oh. So that's like my see you later, nerds?
Yeah, I'm going to say stay hopeful.
Okay, so who should go first? Because yours sounds epic and mine sounds like a nerdy crap. I'm going to go first, then you can stay hopeful, okay? Ready?
Okay, yeah.
See you later, nerd. Sorry, what?
Yeah, practice it now. Go ahead.
See you later, nerds.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Okay, no, and stay hopeful.